To the area, onto Haaland, 4-1.
Good evening, welcome back to Matchday Live. I love that man, I love our manager, I love that team.
The dominance was incredible. This Premier League is for them. You know, they will fight to the end to win that, and no one gonna take that from them.
Plays it off to De Bruyne, and De Bruyne is advancing, and De Bruyne keeps on going, and hits it into the back of the net. What a sensational goal!
We look ahead then, up next, of course, Fulham away. What a game it was here at the Etihad. We remember that, it was basically the game with 10 men and Haaland coming on and scoring the penalty.
You know, concentrate on the game at the weekend, get the 3 points, and then whatever game's next, we'll look at that then, not now.
You know, people will say that we will win the title now, but I know we're 2 games ahead, but we're still behind them. So.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's still in Chelsea's hands. I've said that previously. They're still in control of the baton, if you like. But yeah, outside of that, there's a hell of a lot that can happen. All we have to do is just control the next game.
Listen to the Etihad Stadium. There are some victories that we reflect upon at the end of the season, and you say that was the day we won the Premier League title. Their season.
Good afternoon and welcome to what is a very special Matchday Live, as 2 of our teams are in action this afternoon. First up, you can see our men arriving there at Craven Cottage as we take on Fulham in the Premier League. A win would see us leapfrog Arsenal and go top of the table. So it's the first time since February the 17th. And our women, there they are arriving a little bit earlier at the Academy Stadium. Gareth Taylor's side hosts Reading this afternoon as we look to continue our push for the WSL title.
You know what I want to do? I want to go to head so high.
So a big welcome wherever you are joining us from around the world. You are very welcome and we very much appreciate your company today. I'm Natalie Pike and I'm joined in the studio by 3 former Blues. We have Nedum, Joleon, Lescott and Izzy Christiansen. Hi, welcome. Nice to see you all.
It's a good squad this, you know.
It's a good squad, although we see you quite a lot now. These two haven't been in a while, have they?
Listen, talk to them then. That's what he's going to be as well.
Joleon, you well?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. And Izzy, I haven't done a show with you before, so thank you. I'm really excited to see you today.
This is our debut together. Yeah, it's great to be back. This is my second time on the City Live sofa, so it's good to be here.
Lovely. And of course, the women's team playing the same time as the men's team today. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do it, but we will keep across them both. Of course, you can get the women's game live on Recast and City Plus this afternoon as well. So I would suggest the men on one screen and the women on another, and we'll manage to try and keep across them all. I'm going to bring you the team news the second that I'm allowed. As always, Matchday Live is the first place to get your team news. But Nedum, I'm just still glowing after Wednesday night. It was sensational, wasn't it?
It was fantastic. And weirdly, before the game, a lot of people associated with City felt quite comfortable. And I thought, this is weird, feels like it's a bit of a letdown spot, this. But then they kind of showed in that game exactly who they are. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't guarantee they'll win the title, but when you see the difference between the 2 sides in such a big game, I think it's the reason why a lot of people favour City. And I was in the stands. That's the first game I've been to just to watch. First time, usually I only get paid to go there.
Not working, that's a say.
I was going to say, well, you know.
But were you watching like a pundit?
Kind of, yeah. The guy I was sitting next to was getting a lot in his ear. But then, to be fair, so was I from a lot of other people as well. So it was very nice.
Where was you watching from, Nedum?
It was quite high. It's quite high up. But shout out to Karen. Karen could sort me out. But yeah, it wasn't any special lounge or anything. That's just for legends only. Former players sit in the stands. But yeah, it was fabulous. Really enjoyed it. Took a little bit of pressure off, and then hopefully. I've not really got the best of voice. Do you know what? I didn't.
You got like Barry White?
I did. What's that?
You got like a Barry White kind of tone?
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that. But yeah, I didn't do the Poznan, but I recorded the Poznan just to prove that I was there. So yeah, that's always good.
Oh, live in the moment next time, Nedum.
Nah.
Do the Poznan.
Nah, not me. Definitely not.
It was a weird atmosphere though, I agree, because everybody was so confident, Joleon, and I got a little bit worried just before kickoff because I was really confident. And then I started thinking, have we got overconfident here? But we hadn't. It was just everything was right.
Yeah, just a belief. The way they've been playing, so complete. And I knew the way Arsenal was going to come and play was going to suit us down to the ground. Like, if I take it back or think back to the United game, I knew they were going to try and stifle us away. And I thought, I was nervous in that. But the Arsenal game, I was like, nah, we'll beat these because they're going to play the similar style or try to play a similar style. And when teams come to the Etihad and try and play us at our own game, yeah, the inevitable happens.
Yeah. Doomed if you try and do that. Right, I've got your starting 11 for today. The first place always to get your starting 11 is Matchday Live. So, here we go. And in goal, it is Edison. And then it is Walker, Stones, Diaz, and Akanji. Rodri, captain Ilkay Gundogan. And then Mahrez returns to the starting 11. Grealish, Alvarez, and Erling Haaland. Your substitutes for today, it is Ortega, Carson, Phillips, Laporte, Silva, Gomez, Peroni, Foden, and Rico Lewis. So that is your City starting 11 and subs bench for today. Now, obviously, I think I don't know if you were looking there immediately. Were you thinking, where's Kevin De Bruyne?
Yes.
So Kevin De Bruyne is not fully fit today. That is all we know.
Okay.
So he's not in the squad today. He's not fully fit. He did have a little, on your FPL team, he did have a little exclamation mark all week.
Do you always believe that, though?
No, not always.
There you go.
But yes, so don't worry, Kevin De Bruyne is not fully fit for today, but what a starting 11. A few changes in there as well from the team that beat Arsenal. Are we expecting, do you think, Izzy, at this point in the season with so many games, obviously we play again, we're going to just have one or two maybe rotations? Do you think it's a case of resting some players?
Absolutely. I think that, well, having the luxury of being able to rotate the squad in the manner that City do is incredible. The squad depth is a joke. And obviously in the absence of De Bruyne, who was sensational on Wednesday night, it's probably not going to make a massive difference in terms of the players that are going to come in. Mahrez, Alvarez, they're going to be hungry. And, they're going to want to play a part in this run-in, which is poised to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, of course, Mahrez, who got the hat-trick in the FA Cup semi-final and then didn't play midweek as well. I mean, I imagine he's going to want to continue proving a point that he feels he deserves to be in the starting 11.
Yeah, and I think if you put yourself in his shoes, me as a current player, and I feel like it's difficult to be in that situation where you operate at such a high level as a player. And I think, unfortunately for Mahrez, I don't know what the guys think, but other people have just performed slightly better than him. And not because they're better, it means the flow of the team has looked better. And I think he's obviously unlucky to have missed out on Wednesday night, but he's proven his worth, especially in the FA Cup with a hat-trick, and he'll have a big role to play today as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Hat-trick in the semi-final and then not to play midweek. I'm sure he was upset, but I agree with Izzy there, Joleon. The team on Wednesday night, the way they were playing just clicks. But again, he will be wanting to prove today. Alvarez, again, every time he comes into the starting 11, he plays well. Yeah,
of course. And I think that's the beauty of what Pep's created, is that everyone knows that no one's position or place in the team is safe. There's a rotation policy, and it's not geared on previous performances. It's geared on what Pep sees fit to win the game in hand. So that's the way he selects his teams. And yeah, we could go look and say, well, Mahrez would feel grieved that he didn't start, but before that was the Bayern game, and it was Bernardo Silva who was outstanding. So he's like, did he feel grieved that he didn't start in the semi-finals? So you could argue the case for every player in the squad, but what Pep's done, and the players, to be fair, if you put it down to the players, the way they operate, again, no one's like sour grapes in regards to frustration. It's just like, well, I'm asked to perform, I'm going to have to perform.
Have a little look at this attack specifically now, Nedum, starting with Erling Haaland. But for once, I don't want to actually talk about his goal scoring, because we've been blessed that we've been able to talk about that pretty much every game this season.
It's been nice, yeah.
It's been all right, isn't it? 49 times,
Still not
yes.
enough.
Yes, could break the record, of course.
Make us worse.
You need more shows.
Exactly. Yeah. He's made City worse by scoring too many goals now,
I'd like to discuss him as a team player, what he brings to the team beyond his goals, which obviously sounds ridiculous, because he's got 7 assists this season. Like, I think he's 6th in the number of in the table for top assists in the Premier League this season.
Talk that talk, Nat. Talk that talk. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Really, because obviously he's scored 49 times. That should be the most obvious sort of headline as such. But he does link up very well, and I think he's getting better as the season's progressed. I think it was against Brighton actually earlier in the season, and Brighton had a very aggressive man-to-man press, and they tried to play some balls up to him, and it didn't really go that well. But then in this Arsenal game, as you can see from this moment here, a long ball can be sort of controlled the way that it was. And that weight of pass there as well, it's perfect, because it doesn't, it almost makes the decision for De Bruyne to go and take it forward. And obviously De Bruyne's used his magic there. But there's an element now where City, they're moving it side to side at the back, and when you think you've got them, you haven't, because he's capable to hold the ball up the way that he does and set things up the way that he does as well. Don't get me wrong, you probably didn't think he was getting an assist when he sets it on the halfway line, but the fact is, it was the right decision, it was the right way of passing throughout that game. I thought it was magnificent. And to talk about the game in the Allianz Arena, that goal, for as good as City were, John Stones boots it, Haaland heads it down, De Bruyne plays him in and he scores. You know, there's something needs to be said for that. And again, this is a pro City arena, so let's do this. So Harry Kane's great at assisting people to score. He's got 3 assists this season. Haaland's got 7, but nobody talks about his link-up play at all. So I'm impressed by him. At 22, you can see he's getting better and better and better. And best of all, in the next few years, he might look like a completely different player, but you know it's going to be heading in the right direction.
I guess people maybe are not talking about it because they're too busy talking about his goals, which obviously, like, you know, which is fine, which is all right. I think it's important we highlight it.
Listen, Joe, were you going to say something then?
No, I was going to say, like, yeah, I feel throughout the season, his ball retention, his hold-up plays got better, because I thought early part of the season it was like he was trying to set it to spin, and he was spinning before he set it, and it was kind of breaking down a lot. But now it's like, oh no, this is what I'm needed to do in this moment. Just be content, receive the ball, pass it off, and then make his move. And like you're saying, the comparisons aren't there for Haaland. Like, I think everyone is taking him for granted, like that he scored 59 goals. 49, sorry, like.
It could be.
You could just clip that at the end of the season.
Clip that after this game. Like, you never know with him. But in regards to what he's doing, I don't think it's like, if that was Harry Kane.
Yeah, you'd be talking about him.
Oh, Ballon d'Or. Yeah, it would be the Ballon d'Or. Like, the fact that his name hasn't been mentioned with that honour is remarkable to me.
I've heard it mentioned this week. I listened to a podcast or I read an article where somebody mentioned it, but I think that's definitely got to be something that we're going to have to start discussing towards the end of the season.
Especially if the club win the treble, never been done, and he's part of that and scores that amount of goals. Even if he doesn't score again, like, he's scored enough. He scored enough to win that honour.
As soon as you said the T word, by the way, I keep calling it the T word, my stomach jumped. I can't discuss that yet. I'm not there yet. It makes me too nervous, Joleon. In terms of Haaland as a team player, Izzy, obviously we talk about his goals, we talk about the assists as well. What I love about him is the way that he celebrates every goal. He looks like, I mean, he's a fan, we know he's a fan, but he looks like a fan on the pitch.
You know, you just need to go to Grealish's Instagram to see, like, you know, the brotherhood that's going on there. And a bit like what Joleon said about at the start of the season, his ball retention wasn't great, but, like, it was never going to click straight away. He's only just arrived at the club, and I think you build those bonds off the pitch as well. You get tighter as a group, and you can see it. Like, I mean, he's delighted if somebody else scores. You see a lot of strikers, if somebody doesn't square it, but they score themselves, right? You see some of the strikers still in the 6-yard box sulking, and they're like, oh, I'm going to have to go over and celebrate now. But he doesn't do that. As soon as the ball hits the back of the net from someone else, he's straight over. And he just seems like a great guy.
He's feisty as well. I like it now when, you know, when something happens on the pitch, he's like the first one that's like running over. Like, he's like, no.
That's massive, that's why.
You'd want him in your corner, don't you? You want him in your corner.
Oh, yes.
100%, yeah, 100%.
Definitely. You mentioned Jack Grealish there as well. I've got a great stat for you. He has scored 4 goals and 5 assists in 12 Premier League away games for City this season, with only Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne being involved in more. And he's averaging a goal or assist every 100 minutes away from home. Like those.
Can live with that. Yeah.
Take that.
Doesn't seem too bad. Yeah,
here's his goal against Southampton.
He's doing very, very well. You can see that he's comfortable within, say, the system, comfortable within himself, and is a key part of this, because I think Joleon before was talking about rotation, and for to be fair, let me take that back. It's not rotation. When it comes down to Guardiola, he picks the right team for the right game, and I think the fact that he thinks Jack is always the right player for whatever the game is says a lot about how good he's actually playing. Because with, say, Bernardo, with Phil, with Mahrez on that other side, he sees their strengths and sees potential weaknesses, whereas with Jack, he weighs it up and decides, well, he is the best person for this, because he can go and attack and get the goals, get the assists. But as we've seen in recent weeks as well, defensively he's very solid as well, apart from when Saka threw him to the floor midweek. Did you see that?
Yeah, but still,
that's tough, you know. Yeah, because he tried to lean into him, didn't he? He tried to lean into him, but as I say, he's one of the most complete players at City now in terms of going forward and defending. And a lot of people will be very unhappy to hear that, but that's the reality of it all, and that's why, as I say, he plays pretty much every week now.
Yeah, he's a real key member of the team. And again, just similar to what we said about Haaland there, Jolie, he just seems to be loving it. He just seems to be absolutely loving his football right now.
Yeah, he always loves football. I know Jack quite well, and so he's a passionate guy about the football. And if I take it back to last year when at the Bernabeu, seeing him there before the game, it was like, oh, I'm here.
He's in awe of it,
yeah. But now it's like, no, I'm here, and I'm meant to be the guy. So I believe that he wants to be the man for the right reasons now, and he's stepping up every week, regardless of the game, what it needs. He's identifying that and producing.
Yeah, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. I say that, but then I think there's quite a lot now. There's quite a lot that could be one of the first names on the team sheet. The other sort of member of the attack today would be Julian Alvarez, of course. Always like to remind everyone, World Cup winning Julian Alvarez. And he does continue...
If he does the treble this year,
what a year.
People's not talking about that. Like, that's a big deal because he wasn't just in the World Cup. Like,
he played a massive role, didn't he? Yeah.
They don't win I know Messi would get the headlines, and he did, and rightly so. But like before he come into the team, they were bang average.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So
good point, well made.
If he does the treble, and he's not, and as I said, he's not like got 1 or 2 goals. He's contributed.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think
it's a big deal.
Thought of that. Now I really want him to score like in the Champions League semi-final or something, so he has like a.
Why not the final?
Yes!
Why not both?
Yeah,
I'm crazy.
In the semis, what are we going out in that or something? Do you want to score in the semis? I want to score the winner in the final.
I was just doing a pep and thinking about the next game, but yes.
About the next game.
Yes.
About all the games. In the final of the FA Cup, hat-trick. Against United.
In training.
They're getting carried away, rein him in.
I love it, Izzy. I'm going to let him keep going. What else is he going to do? No. But for him to have moved countries, then to have gone off to the World Cup, to have played so significantly in the World Cup, to be playing for us, not starting, but when he does, to be performing, to be getting that, he's in double digits for goals. Yeah. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is a bit dangerous to say, but do you know who he reminds me of?
Clip this.
Okay.
He's got Aguero about him.
Oh, yeah. And Tevez.
That's what
Sergio said to me.
He low centre of gravity, can finish from anywhere. His link-up, we talk about Haaland's link-up play, Alvarez's link-up play, just as good, but naturally comes to him a bit better than Haaland. Haaland's had to work on it, in my opinion. But Alvarez, the way he links the play, low centre of gravity, his movement off the ball, he's one of the most unselfish strikers I've ever seen. I saw that at the World Cup for Argentina. He had to basically sacrifice his role at the World Cup for Messi to open up the space. But why did Messi do so well? Because Alvarez is willing to do a job for the team. There's no wonder he signed a new contract here because he's integral to the success of this team.
Did you hear what he said, by the way? What Sergio said?
Yeah, Sergio.
What a privilege it is to have someone like this on the show, you know what I mean?
Shut up, Steve.
What Sergio said.
He said that, because I asked him just briefly, I said, what's he like? He said he's like a mixture of me and Carlos. I was like, that's a big compliment, that.
Yeah,
but you can see his work rate off the ball, he's got that. And then when he's in front of goal, he's devastating, yeah.
How are you defending this team? Like when you can literally have goals from everybody that we've named so far.
I don't know. It's only going to be good defensive teams that can do that, like solid. You can't be hopeful that everyone's going to have a half day because not everyone is. Like there's going to be someone that's going to contribute. So it has to be a collective outcome and process because. There's like 6 players that could win man of the match. Like, that's not normal.
Yeah, I feel like if you wanted to try and beat them, you either need to like have so much star power up front that it's a shootout, or defensively like everybody buys in. You know what I mean?
That's why I think the Madrid, I know it's Fulham, but the Madrid game is so interesting because Benzema and Vinicius and Rodrigo, they are devastating.
Yeah.
And defensively, they're strong. Like, that is what... So when I thought about that game the other day, I was like, oh, that's not as easy as I initially thought. I thought...
You initially thought it was easy.
Do you guys think, right, so Kyle Walker started against Arsenal, yeah?
He has to play.
He's up against Martinelli, to just basically take him out of the game.
But
you think that's preparation?
Oh, yeah, it would have been. It would have been. But obviously, I don't know if he starts if Ake is fit.
Yeah, fair point.
I don't know if he starts then, but I think it's timing of that is good.
Do you not think, though, Jules? Like, I think there's something to be said because as soon as they got through, everyone was immediately saying, play Carl, yeah. But like Carl, for as good as he is, like attackers always have the benefit because they don't need to be great for 90.
Yeah, they need to get past him once.
Second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the danger of people like Vinicius and others. And we can say, oh, this is great, but you can never guarantee a team won't score.
Yeah, but I'm saying so I would judge it on he's going to get past the defender that he's facing up at least once.
Yeah.
who's the best chance at catching him?
Yeah.
Kyle. That's what I'm judging it on. I'm not judging it on he's never going to get past him. I'm saying, well, if he has to run back, he's going to be the only one that can half catch him, to be fair. Because you know how Kyle, for me, is the fastest defender running backwards, like most defenders.
Because he wants to get there.
Yeah, he wants to show how fast he's running back.
Yeah.
I don't see that from many defenders. It's like, wow, fast are you going forward, and then they're just jogging back.
Yeah.
Now Kyle's like flat out running back to his
I think
goal.
Wednesday night was a lovely reminder of just how good Kyle Walker is as well, if we had forgotten over the course of a few games. If you'd like to ask our guests any questions, you can always use our WhatsApp number. Ask them anything you would like about their careers, about the tactics, about, you know, what Joleon speaks to Sergio Aguero about, whatever you want, that WhatsApp number. Get those questions in and I'll get through as many as I can. Right, I'm going to give you the team news now for Fulham. So this is the starting 11 for our opposition today.
Tosin.
OK, it is Leno, Tete, Ream, of course, Tosin Adebayo, Robinson, Reed, Polinia, Pereira, Decordova-Reid, Vinicius and Wilson. That is the Fulham starting 11 for today. Of course, they're still without their top scorer, Mitrovic, who I think he has 3 games left on that 8-game ban. And Willian also was injured in the week as well, is still out of the squad as well. Fulham having a good season, I would say, by their standards. Obviously, been up and down from the Championship, the Premier League a few times, absolutely cemented themselves in a good mid-table position. Particularly, they were good at the start of the season. They were riding really high, but it does feel like perhaps that Manchester United game has derailed them a little bit in the Mitrovic 8-game ban.
Yeah, the 8-game ban is never going to help. But in fairness, I think they did win away at Everton.
I think had a couple of decent results.
Yeah, they've not looked great, but then those ones have stepped up and changed the narrative a little bit. I think last time I saw them play at home was against Arsenal, and they got battered, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you take a step out and just think about it, a lot of people had them to be going straight back down again. So for them to be in the top half, like I wasn't having it.
Yeah,
but
I didn't have that. I didn't have them. I thought they were content with the way they were playing off, and I thought they'd learnt from previous years and spending stupid amounts of money, getting too many players in.
Yeah, but they got the mix right.
Yeah.
Like Polinia, for example, he's a really good player for them. He gets a ton of yellow cards, but he disrupts their play. Yeah, Willian as well.
Yeah. Outstanding this year.
But also like the Milner role. Do you know what I mean? Like experience. I mean, he's still well got it. He operates at a pretty high level still, but that leadership and that experience.
And in fairness, I watched them in an FA Cup game when they went up to Salford to play against someone, and and within that, they were dominating that game until Mitrovic lost the plot.
Oh, they really were.
They were moving the ball so well, organised, knew exactly what they needed to do. And that's credit to them for, as I say, a lot of people didn't fancy them, but I saw them and they looked like a team. They've been there, for years. So fair play to the manager and those players within it, because it's not necessarily all the names that people expect to see doing well, but they're doing such a good job there as a consequence. Like, they're more than stable this season, and hopefully for the future as well.
They annoyed me in that game, to be honest. They annoyed me because we shouldn't be talking about it.
I was behind enemy lines, thinking this
loving
is,
it.
I was
You've been behind them a lot lately. I've seen you dug outside as well.
They've had 10 home FA Cup ties in a row. Like, I work in those cups, so before you know it, I'm there again. I thought in that game they were destroying Man United.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden cards were flying everywhere. I was like, okay, here we go then. Just got to live through this.
Good. Yeah, that was silly.
Yeah.
They've won 2 and lost 3 since that FA Cup game against United when Mitrovic was sent off. Is it as simple as the missing Mitrovic?
I think it's a factor because he's done well up till now. He was in my fantasy team, so I obviously picked him for a reason.
Same.
Even though I'm not doing particularly well. But no, I think, like the guys have said, that there's players around that have stepped up and really impressed me. Harrison Reed in midfield. No one's talked about him, but he's a quality midfield player. The way he's adapted to Premier League, he's front foot. He's really exciting to watch. And the other guy I want to mention, Tosin Adebayo.
Cool.
When I was in the first team with the women here, we worked with the academy a lot, and he was coming through the academy. And to now see him as he's ever-present Premier League player is class. He achieved his goals, and he's a good guy as well.
It's always nice to see an academy player come through and hit Premier League levels.
I was just going to say, though, for their team, it's interesting that they've gone with Vinicius up top instead of James. Like I think in other games gone by, they were trying to use his speed a little bit more.
Yeah, but I think that's all you're getting with James, isn't it? There's minimal ball retention there. But there might be a time where you need it.
I think actually, tell me what you think about this. If there's a difference, obviously, between Vinicius, who's bigger, sort of like type man, versus James. So if you're going for Vinicius over James, does that mean that you think you'll be more on the front foot? Or is it a case you think be on the back foot and you're just going to play longer balls to him?
Yeah, I think you can be a bit more direct with Vinicius, and the quality doesn't have to be as good.
Yeah.
Because they might not have time to have the quality and get 3 or 4 passes and get it down the sides. Because to James, it's for James. You're not passing to him, you're passing for him, where Vinicius, you have the luxury of both. So I'd rather play against Vinicius because James's pace is devastating at times, but from a manager, I understand why he's picked Vinicius, because you've got more options in regards to your build-up.
Mentioned fantasy football there. Nedum and I are very much into our fantasy football. Have you ever had Pereira in your team this season?
I have, yeah. I have.
He's a great FPL buy, by the way, because he's dirt cheap and he plays like every single game.
He was technically in my squad for this week and it was in my team. And I was like, no, we ain't doing that.
This could be a lot.
Yeah, I was like, we're not doing that. So I had to remove him from the scene. But I remember this game, because this is where Cancelo got sent off early.
Yes,
if you remember.
Yeah.
And City, that was one of the City's best performances all season, I thought, with 10 men. It was truly, truly remarkable.
Was it 10 men? Did someone not sneak back on?
No, it looked like 2 people snuck on.
Yeah.
It was a remarkable performance. And
I loved that game.
Don't get me wrong.
I think I did Matchday live that game, yeah. Casino, I didn't see you there.
I was elsewhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was you there as a fan again?
I was working elsewhere.
Oh.
Yeah, I was working elsewhere. Don't be like that, you. But yeah, it was a remarkable performance.
Well, you missed the atmosphere then, so if you were there, you'll remember it. Haaland got the 90th minute winner.
Yeah, that was mad.
Everybody stayed. Everyone was celebrating at the end like it
they knew.
was significant, and it was.
Was that the one where he hit a weird penalty that went in, or was it good penalty? Because there was one which he bobbled in, not too long after that, maybe. Do you remember? Either way, goal's a goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Goal's a goal. Target's a goal for him.
Yeah. Goal's a goal. Yes, I like that. And he's got 49 of them.
Yeah.
Yes, whatever they bobbled or not. Yes, that is the Fulham team news for today. Now, I've got before we go on to any of the sort of questions or anything, I've got a bit of a competition for you. So, our training kit partner, OKX, the crypto trading app, is allowing you to create your own avatar. Now, I actually did this in the week. It's ace. You choose, your face shape, your hair colour, what outfit you want, all of this. It's awesome. And if you do it and share it on your social media, you get a chance to win amazing City and OKX prizes.
Is yours on screen, yeah?
Yeah, so get yourself on to playforthecity.com, make your avatar and share it on social media. Right, you ready for these prizes? They're really good.
Go on then.
2 tickets for a Champions League group stage VIP away next season.
Ooh, okay.
It's a decent one.
Okay.
5 pairs of tickets to OKX hospitality box at the Etihad for a match next season.
Happy days.
Different, posh.
Any match.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Just save it for Champions League knockout stage, wouldn't you?
for the semi, yeah. Other match tickets, Man City training kits, an OKX City snowboard as well. So loads of great prizes there. So get yourself on to the website there, playforthecity.com, and make your avatar. Right, we've had a good old chat there about City's attack and about Fulham, but I want to move on now to City's defence. And we talked a little bit about Kyle Walker already, but I'd like to have a little word about Manuel Akanji, who just has been phenomenal. Now, I was shocked, Joleon, I don't know if you knew this, but I read since the Arsenal game that he said in one of the post-match interviews that he'd only trained once as left-back before he played it on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, but he's super intelligent, isn't he? So I guess the roles and what it requires, he understood. Well, obviously he understood because he was unreal. But Again, it didn't surprise me. Like, he's facing Saka, wants to come inside onto Akanji's strong side. Saka doesn't really go down the line as a winger, so the matchup kind of suited Akanji, but that has taken nothing away from his performance. Like he'd played there his whole career. It was like he was a left back because he wasn't just defending. He was like driving forward, creating space, and his IQ, his football IQ is very high.
I think his normal IQ is very high as well.
Like chief levels of IQ.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
and to have kept, I mean, everybody presumed Laporte was going to play in that position on Wednesday night, and then it was a surprise when it came out. But like Joleon said, he was phenomenal. You wouldn't have known that he'd done one training session in that position.
Yeah, and I think the differences between Akanji and Laporte are probably more physical differences. I think maybe Pep thought that Akanji would deal better with Saka than Laporte in that particular game. But I think just going back to the fact that he'd had one training session and then he's gone in and played like that, I think it's credit to his manager as well as him, obviously, like football IQ through the roof. But like, I imagine when you're in Pep's training sessions, you're listening to every bit of detail from every position. And I think they go through repetition that much that actually when you go and slot in a position which you're not familiar with, you're actually aware of the roles of it already, because every role has such a key part in the build-up play that City play that I feel like it'd just be seamless for the players.
So,
do you think he'll be playing there again today? So we're looking to it's Walker, Stones, Diaz, Akanji.
You'd expect so, yeah. You would expect so, and more power to him. Maybe it's because would Wilson play on that side? So that's the lefty again.
Yeah, but in the greatest respect to this, I think it's preparation for Real Madrid now. I don't think he's getting there to stop Wilson. I think Laporte potentially stops Wilson, but Rodrigo for Real Madrid, I think he needs more minutes to be exposed to that difference rather than in preparation for that game and actually just beat Fulham in the greatest respect.
Yeah, you're probably right, but like, I'm with you, he's so good. You know what I mean? Like, when he first signed, you've got to think back to the fact that there was a little defensive crisis where they were running low on players and so on, but they managed to get someone in who's just been playing for Dortmund, who's a Swiss international, bring him in. He's very good, and I think, I might have said this before, but the point when I knew Pep was really buying into him, Manchester derby, the 6-3, and it was him and Ake playing centre-back, and on the bench, I think you had Laporte and Ruben Diaz. Yeah. And there was just people in the crowd like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Oh. But then they were magnificent. Yeah. They were absolutely magnificent. So as a consequence, like, he was brilliant. And in that left-back slot, he played it his own way without being a proper left-back, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But defensively, he was so good. And I think what else as well helps, and, you probably agree with this, everyone wants the ball. If he's got the ball and he's in a bit of trouble, Ruben Diaz has come across to receive it. Edison's there to receive it.
Jack Grealish wants it.
Grealish is there. Rodri wants it. Gundogan wants it. Listen, back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
You're on an island.
As a midfielder, you're hiding behind your player.
Yeah, you're on an island.
You have to take 4 players on.
Yeah, you're on an island. Like, okay, let's do this then.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
I do it. Well, I don't do it now, but I used to. Midfield, like, you got to hide a little bit.
Yeah. That's the beauty of the confidence. I think that has a massive impact. When players are confident and the system is right, then everyone shows. But you'll see when not so confident, it's like, I'm on when the ball's gone long. I was here.
Yeah,
he wasn't there when I needed you there, though. You know what I mean?
But then it also helps, as we mentioned earlier, about Haaland and his link-up play now. Yeah. Like, as we've seen in the last few weeks, they'll move it, but at some point, they're looking up. And they're thinking, well, now's the right time to give it to him. And then before you know it, someone like De Bruyne's come underneath him, and then just start the next attack.
Because that's what the Haaland does is nullifying people's press, because you can't press too aggressive, because then you're leaving a big space for the ball to just be played in. I've seen it in the game against Arsenal. Edison literally passed it through the 2 midfielders straight to him. Yeah. I was like, that's because you've been so aggressive with your press, which aesthetically looks great on paper, but now you're leaving Haaland 1v1. Yeah, like, you can't do that. You've got to be more respectful.
I think Akanji as well. I'm going to throw it out there. I'll come to you because you're a bit more neutral than I am, because I'm pretty biased.
Well, yeah.
Obviously, Erling Haaland's been incredible by this season. After Erling Haaland, is there a player in the Premier League that has been as much of a bargain as Akanji and has made such of an impact?
Wow.
In the whole Premier League?
Yeah.
It's tough to think about the signings.
Who's played pretty much every game.
No.
For the amount that he's played, and if they do go on and win the league, he's probably, because he's changed the sort of discussion around certain players and so on. You know what I mean? Like, it's normal now to see him playing over Laporte, for example. But I can't think of the prices. Maybe there'll be someone at Brighton who would be part of a discussion or something like Mitoma.
Just an impact, because again, The price to me, I've always felt it's irrelevant if they perform. It doesn't matter what you pay for someone. Like, we paid 50 million for Haaland, which obviously now is a ridiculous bargain. But if we paid 200 million and he scores 50 goals, it's still a bargain. So the price to me is always irrelevant depending on the performance. So Akanji, yes, definitely. But Martinez, he's had a massive impact at United. Do you know what I mean? There's other players that have had an impact at their clubs. But, yeah, Akanji, like... There'd be a lot of teams that... Sorry, Nedum. There'd be a lot of teams that stupidly looked at him and thought,
United apparently looked at him.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons why it's probably like a bargain and will be one of the ones that is in that discussion is the fact that most people thought after a certain point he'd stop playing.
Yeah.
But instead, he's one of those names who's on the team sheet all the time. At a point where, you know, as I say, we hope that the season finishes well so we can really discuss how important this last stretch has been for the club. And when you look at that last stretch, there were certain people that have played basically every single game. And some of those guys are people that include the likes of him. And it's been at right back, it's been at centre back, it's been at left side. Like, but it's been their biggest and most important stretch of the season to put them in contention of everything. So, yeah, I think for the value, like I agree with Joleon about the price. The price is the price, whatever. But he's playing more games than a lot of people anticipated, and as a consequence, you see the future with him as opposed to him just filling in for a short period of time.
Yeah, and it feels like he's really slotted into this. It feels to me that City's defensive tactics have changed so much this season, and I can't really explain it. So I'll look to the professionals. It feels like, Izzy, we're defending this season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like in terms of teams are going for it against City or.
The individuals.
Individuals,
I think that's down to the personnel. I think Ake and Akanji more so I've allowed Pep to change that tactic and be like, you are comfortable in 1v1 scenarios a lot more than, say, others. Like Ruben Diaz is a leader, you can see. Could he play as a left-back? I'm not so sure.
Yes.
Could he operate the way he operates in the middle? Probably not, but he organises everything around him and stuff like that. So I think the personnel definitely, I think they're more comfortable out of position they have been in recent years because of the personnel.
In terms of the way that City have played, they've done a lot of the full-backs inside this season as extra number sixes and then push players on. So it's almost looked like a 3-2-5 at times. And to commit that many players forward, you have to be comfortable with your back three defending 1v1 because it just gives you the opportunity to go and play more players forward. And with the players that City have got in the attack, like, it's scary to think that they've got all bases covered.
Yeah, absolutely. And to have those three at the back that we are so secure in. And it feels like three defenders who just want to defend.
Defending first,
Defending first, assisting and moving forward.
But having the players like that, but then able to play out under pressure, like,
I'll tell you what I'm going to say about that. And this is not like a bad take or anything, but like me and you, Joel, for example, like we played during a certain era within football and so on and so forth. I would have preferred to play in this era where what you're being told to do is simpler. Like I was going through a spell where people were saying you need to hit this diagonal, you have to hit this ball down this side. If I could, I would take the ball under pressure if I knew where I was going to play it next. You know what I mean?
And you knew he was going to be there.
Exactly,
and there's accountability for the person that should be there. If he's not there, that wasn't necessarily the thing. It was like, create something.
Yeah, and like...
Find someone.
The guys have passed more balls back to their goalkeeper in the last few seasons than they probably ever did in their careers, because usually if I passed it back, it was going to go 60 yards long. You know what I mean? That's the sole purpose of it. But that ball retention, like whether... Say City against Arsenal, John Stones didn't really go into midfield. But they still kind of had a three at the back on the build-up because it was him, it was Diaz, and it was Edison. You know, another time it might just be like a back three. But you know those people are going to be there. They're going to lend it, make the right decisions, pass the ball the right way to the right people. And it just looks easy. But then I think this is, for me, from a perspective standpoint, it's something you can't really describe too well to people who haven't played the game because they won't fully understand it. But the value, for example, of somebody playing the ball to someone's strong foot on the other side of the attacker to play it to the right sort of spot. It's that level of detail that makes something that looks really simple. If you get it wrong, it's catastrophic. But
that's the difference between playing out of a press and not playing out of a press. And that's why City are so comfortable with any player on the ball as long as the pass is given it the right weight to the right foot so that they can play the next one forward. Just going back to Diaz, by the way, did you see how far we went into midfield to press?
Yes, and it's a different game.
What team in the world centre-back goes that far to press a midfielder?
It's the one that knows that people behind him are all right. That's the thing.
That's the guy.
Yeah, that's the key thing. And, you know, we spoke when I sold out for a second and worked for BT Sport. We were speaking with Rio Ferdinand, and obviously he was very successful. But I asked him, would you be comfortable in this sort of level of aggression of a like press or play now? He said, no, not really.
Yeah, I never wanted to go and know there was a lot could go on behind me.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing, but as you said, now you're creating a system that warrants that, and it's not necessarily like you're being exposed. It's like, just do that. I'm only asking you to do that. I'm not asking you to worry about that. Where we was going, you're going to have to go in there, but if it goes there
exactly,
as well.
Yeah. Read it, make the right decision.
Do both.
It's like a personality as well. Like you associate your centre backs as the players who have the most leadership, the most trust, the biggest voices in the team. So for you to vacate that space without knowing what's going on behind you,
or just trusting.
Big trust in the system. Big trust.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it helps when you've got leaders all over the pitch as well, like they do in this team. Now, let's get the thoughts now of two men who know both clubs very well. Michael Brown made almost 100 appearances for City, having come through our academy, before playing a season and a half in West London, where he captained Fulham. Meanwhile, Kit Symons made over 100 appearances for both City and Fulham before going on to briefly manage the Cottagers. Kit Symons was my first ever captain when I started supporting City as well. Now he's the assistant to another former Fulham manager, Chris Coleman, at Greek club Trinitas. Close.
Okay.
Two former City teammates were catching up this week.
Hi Kit, thanks for joining us. Obviously you're out in Greece coaching at Trinitas. How are you enjoying your time? I bet it's sun shining, isn't it?
It is. Weather's been fantastic. We're just coming up to finishing 18 months out here now and had a really good time. Myself and Chris Coleman came in. The team was struggling at the bottom of the league and we managed to finish 7th this season, just outside the playoff spots, the European spots. And so we do the play-outs now where the bottom 8 teams play each other. 3 games to go. We're top of that sort of play-out league. So all in all, gone really well. We had a good time. Greece is a fantastic country. Culture's brilliant. Food's amazing. And obviously the weather.
The games are coming thick and fast. And it's a game we both probably are looking forward to. We both obviously know Fulham really well. How do you expect that game to go? And what do you think of Marco Silva's job so far?
Yeah, I think he's done brilliantly. I think he's done a fantastic job at Fulham. They were having like a great season and really pushing on. And obviously the United game with the sort of couple of minutes of madness, it looked like that was going to derail their season. And I was a little bit worried for them after that. Obviously, they got more than enough points to have been safe and stuff like that and done brilliantly. But to be fair to them, they've got themselves going again, which I think was really good because that could have easily, like I say, completely, the wheels could have come off for their season then. But they've got themselves going again. So I think full credit again to Marco Silva for doing that what was after a difficult game and obviously Mitrovic being out. They've had to sort of change their style of play. But now I think they've had a brilliant season. I think he's done a really good job.
And how do you see the game going? Do you know when you say they've had to do something different at the top of the pitch? What do you think they will do against City, or what type of performance are they going to need?
I mean, the problem is anyone facing City now, like I say, I think City have just timed it so well now. The momentum's been gradually building. And it's so difficult now for opposition teams to set up against them. You can't, if you sit off them too deep, they'll just play through you because they've got such craft in guile. I mean, De Bruyne can pick a pass where there isn't a pass to be played. Put it on a sixpence for someone to finish. So you can't sit off them too much. And also, that's not really Fulham's play. They've been aggressive in midfield and winning tackles, so they want to get up against City. But then if you do press too high, as I felt Arsenal probably did in the week, then City will just beat your press and then play more direct and play in behind. So it's a difficult one for them. And I think this is a tough game. Obviously, City have got 2 home games after this. So of the 3 games, you would say probably Fulham away is the most difficult. But I just think City have got this momentum now and the confidence is sky high. I think Fulham could do pretty much anything and they won't be able to stop them.
So now I'm going to put you on the spot. The former Fulham player, Manchester City player, you know what's coming now. So this is where I normally have the straight bat out kit and I just go, right, this is it. So, score prediction. What's it going to be for the weekend?
Yeah, I can't. I'd say Fulham have done brilliant, having a great season, but I can't see beyond the City win. I just think the momentum is there and they're just so strong. So I'll go 1-2 to City.
Hopefully it'll be a great game. Really enjoy what Fulham are doing. I wish you well, mate, in the next few weeks, and hopefully you can enjoy the summer and hope to get to see you soon.
Great stuff. Cheers, Brownie. Lovely to see you. Take care, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, Brownie trying to get himself an invite to Greece there by the sounds of it for a cheap holiday. Thanks so much to Michael Brown there talking to former City captain Kit Symons. Now, Simons even. Right, we're also building up to the 2 p.m. kickoff in the WSL as City take on Reading here at the Academy Stadium. The game is live on City Plus and Recast, and you'll get commentary brought to you by John Dunn. Now, let's take a look at City's starting 11 for the game. In goal, it's Roebuck, Kasperai, Horton, who's captain, of course, Greenwood, Morgan, Angeldal, Hasegawa, Coombs, Kelly, Hemp, and Bunny Shaw. And the Reading starting 11 for today. Maloney, Mayakis, Caldwell, McCandy, Primer, Trollsgaard, Van Hyvermaet, Harries, Eklund, Wellings and Rowe. That is the Reading starting 11. You're seeing some live pictures there from inside the Academy Stadium. Looks beautiful there today. Now, before we have a discussion about that City team news today, let's hear the thoughts of our boss, Gareth Taylor. He's pitchside with Sam Cox.
Gareth, first of all, how are you and the squad feeling ahead of the game today?
Yeah, excited. I think been training really well in the moments that we've had after the international break. Put together some really good training practices. Players are looking sharp. You hope, similar to West Ham, that we're able to go out and put on a really good performance. Don't see any reasons why we can't do it today. The confidence is good. Players are looking in good shape. So, yeah, but we know it's going to be a tough game.
What is it from that West Ham win that we need to replicate today against Reading?
I think show our composure. I think from the back all the way to the front, you know, if we do that in our build-up play, if we can show composure around the edge of the box, finish our chances off, sustain that for longer periods. It's so hard to do for 94 minutes or whatever it might be. So I think it's really about continuing to be positive, keep trying the things that we do really well. We know that we're not going to be able to maintain it for the whole game as much as we like, but yeah, they're the things we'll be looking for.
What are you expecting from Reading today?
A lot of direct balls, I think. I think we have to put pressure on them to try and stop that if we can. They're quite dangerous from set plays. They're a team that obviously now, having seen the Leicester result yesterday, have to perhaps come out and engage. Whether they do that today or not still remains to be seen because they have a couple of games afterwards. But yeah, of course, it'll be a tough game for us.
How do we go about stopping those direct balls, do you think?
I think, like we've said previously, I think, you know, where we looked at with West Ham, where we sustained a little bit of pressure, was probably from not sustaining our pressure game. And that's hard work, you know, it's physically demanding for the players, but the more we can do that we stop the long balls coming. But we know we're gonna have to engage in long balls at times and have to deal with second balls as best we possibly can.
With Reading fighting for survival, it's just another example of there's no easy games in this division, is there?
No, there's not. I think I've always said that, regardless of what opposition you've got in front of you, it's only after the event whether you realise if it was an easier game than you anticipated, but none of them are one on paper, and I think it's making sure we make it about us, do what we do, and we're hoping that's enough for us today.
And just finally, what did we learn from the 3-0 victory over Reading in November, last time we faced them?
I think to have patience. I think it took us till the second half. We came in 0-0 at half time, played well, controlled the game, limited their exposure to our goal. So patience really, make sure we maintain the same actions, and again I think showing that composure in the second half like we did that allowed us to score the goals.
Brilliant, thank you for your time, Gareth, and
Cheers.
good luck today.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
So that's our manager, Gareth Taylor, talking ahead of today's 2 p.m. kickoff against Reading in the WSL. That game is live on City Plus and Recast. So women on one screen, men on the other screen. What an afternoon. Right, in terms of that City lineup, just one change. Roebuck returns in goal, Izzy, which I'm sure the team will be really pleased about.
Yeah, that's big for City. I imagine the game, hopefully, she won't need much to do. But having her back in, her talk about modern goalkeeper. Ellie Roebuck is that in the women's game. Like, she can play with both feet. Her distribution's excellent. She's really good at reading play as well, when to play out, when to find the sixes, etc. So massive for City for her to be back in today. Yeah.
I want to have a word on Steph Houghton as well, Nedum. She's back, she's fit, she's playing, she scored last week. I think the second that we all heard Leah Williamson was out for the World Cup, my immediate thought was, oh, come on, there's got to be room here for Steph to get called back up.
Yeah, you can think that, but that's not necessarily the way some of these managers work. Like, if they have an idea of what they want, they don't really budge from that. And sometimes I think that's like a positive and a negative, because you can think something's more reasonable, but then they're sort of set in their way, and it's that sort of idea and identity that they have that makes them sort of like hireable going forward. But she can do all she can do, get a chance to play, lead the team, maybe win a WSL title, who knows? So that's going to be her focus, of just playing games, and maybe the manager's mind will change if other things change around it, but I wouldn't expect something to change, because, as I say, once someone has an idea in their mind and they have that sort of power, then, coming off being European champions as well, it's unlikely. Could I ask Izzy a question?
Yeah, go.
So obviously Bunny Shaw's top scorer in the whole league, and she gets a lot of attention, but who do you think their best player has been this year, if it's not her? Because I've got an idea, but I want to hear what they're saying.
I think I know who you're thinking as well.
Are we all thinking the same?
It'd be quite funny.
Go on.
Yui.
That's who I was thinking.
Asagawa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah, she's been frightening.
She's comfier.
Yeah.
Like,
Very
when I
good.
came to the derby, she's very comfortable.
Yeah, she's
Have you played against her?
Yeah.
What was she like?
I've played against her. I was injured for when we played against City this season. We've got them on the final day, actually. But last season she played for West Ham. And even in that team last season with West Ham, she was outstanding. I can see why City signed her. But to come in and play that sixth role the way she has, unbelievable.
To replace Kira Walsh as well, who obviously was such a phenomenal player.
Different profile of player, in my opinion. Same in terms of ball retention and the way they want to manipulate the game, but different. Like, Kira's passing range is bigger than Yui's. I think that Kira was able to take a touch out of her feet and find a winger on the touchline, whereas the way in which Gareth Taylor's got his team playing is a lot of shorter passes, more centrally, a little bit like, we see the men's team, one fullback coming in field and doubling up with Hasegawa as a double six, and they manipulate the ball. The relationship between Hasegawa and Alex Greenwood, unbelievable. Unbelievable, the connection there, just giving each other the ball without even looking, like they know where they are. And they've been a massive key for how City have progressed this season and got themselves back into a title race.
You're a big fan of her as well. Yeah.
He's purring over there.
Yes, he is a phenomenal player.
Well done, Nedum, for spotting an obvious player.
Well, why didn't you say then?
I did say I agreed.
After she said it.
Yeah, man.
Well, we can agree with stuff after people
So
say
did
the
you.
right
You
answer.
didn't say the name first.
I teed it
We
up.
all think she's great. We're all on the same side today with this. We all think she's great. Izzy, in terms of the WSL, does it feel to you playing in it that this season is just, it feels like just one of the most, if not the most competitive from top to bottom? It's so tight at both ends of the table.
Yeah, and I think that the bit in between now is pretty safe in terms of no relegation, no, title chasing. But at either end of the table, we saw yesterday Leicester beating Liverpool 4-0, which has got them out of the bottom. And I would probably be safe to say now, safe. I know their manager, Willie Kirky's my old manager, he won't say that, but I think they are. Mathematically, at the other end of the table, who knows? But the top three obviously get Champions League, and there's 4 in the race. It's going to be heartbreaking for whoever misses out. However, I do have a bit of a theory that with Arsenal, they obviously play semi-final, second leg of the Champions League on tomorrow against Wolfsburg, and I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to get into the Champions League final. I think that's going to distract them from the league.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope they win it.
And then that means that will they end up finishing the top 3? I'm not sure. But then, if they win the Champions League, they qualify anyway.
So, and do the top 3 still get it?
The top 3 still get it, yeah. So then it'll be
Changed that
4.
a few years ago for the men as well.
4 English clubs.
So if they win it and City finish 4th, would...
No.
They
have to finish in the top 3.
You have to finish in the top 3.
But they get a place if they finish 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's just, like you say, it's so exciting to see what's going to happen at the end of the season, but it's going to come down to the
So you're
final day.
predicting Arsenal finish 4th and win the Champions League?
Yeah.
And who's 3rd?
City.
Please, Izzy.
No,
not for City. Don't tell me Don't say they're going to win it. It will be unbearable.
No, she said.
Chelsea. Win. United second. City third.
Okay.
Which I think, on reflection, for City is a good, qualifying. Honestly, from a recruitment perspective, having Champions League football is massive to move the club up an extra level for next season. I can't bear it if United win. But obviously,
City
they won't.
Got to go.
Honestly, you heard it here first. I don't think they will.
Because City can beat them still and try.
They've got the derby. They've got the derby.
Yes,
They've got the derby. Yep.
We had Steph on and we were on the show and we were like, come on, Steph, please, you've got to beat them. You've got to beat them in a few weeks. In terms of Reading today, your team, Everton, played them last week.
Yeah.
Had that, you were 2-0 down, came back and won 3-2. They're bottom of the league now. They're going to be fighting, as we always know teams do at that end. What sort of game are we expecting from Reading today, do you think? Worst place for them to come after a defeat. They were 2-0 up against us after 20 minutes. I don't know what happened from our end. We've had a bit of an inquest last week, let's not discuss. But they did well. They did well for the first 20, something changed. But this is the worst place, the Academy Stadium, for them to come now when they're fighting for points. They're not going to touch the ball. City are going to dominate, and I think it'll only be a matter of time before the deadlock's broken. Yeah, City have not lost a home league game since November 2021. The Academy Stadium is an absolute fortress. So you'll get City versus Reading in the WSL from 2 p.m, City Plus and Recast. If you're not subscribed to that yet, get it sorted now. You've got about 10 minutes until kick-off in both the games. Right, before we hand over to the wonderful Alistair Mann, who's joined by Andy Morrison today for the commentary, we've not discussed the midfield. We've got Rodri and Gundogan in midfield, Nedum. And then loads of attacking players. Mm-hmm. No Kevin De Bruyne, obviously we've already discussed that. But how do you think the midfield is going to look today?
I think that'll be the two, but then I think Alvarez will probably drop in a little bit at times. Not all the time, because I'm sure there'll be some level of rotation between him and Haaland as such. But I think if Fulham get their foot on the ball and start moving it around with that sort of overload that they have, I think one of those two will be dropping in just a little bit. And in fairness to... I don't know, I could be wrong here, but with Kevin over the last few weeks, he has been playing a lot higher. Almost feels like it's not really part of the midfield as such. So I think it's indicative of the fact that in some of those games as well, when Kevin comes off, he brings on Alvarez. And it kind of feels almost like it's like for like, bizarrely. So
they operate the same, but in different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Same areas of the pitch,
Exactly, yeah. So, if you're going to...
Sorry, go on.
No, after you, go on.
No, I think we're looking at midfielders as in box to box. Like, our midfielders don't have to be box to box. Like, part of our midfield is in their half. Yep. So the distances covered aren't full length. So you have Rodri, you have Gundogan that operates arguably as good or as effective as anyone we have in the team at doing all the 6, 8, 10 roles, and then you have Alvarez in a higher role. So I don't think it's a case of, well, we've only got 2 recognised midfielders and we're going to play a striker in midfield. He's going to be operating in an advanced area anyway, so it's not going to make a difference, in my opinion. We mentioned Paulinho before for Fulham, who's obviously been one of their standout players this season. How do you think that battle's going to go between him and Rodri Gundogan? I think it's going to be tough because he's good and he's been very good for them. But again, I just see we have more strings to our bow. Like, it's not just an individual battle. It's going to be so many more factors to that. So he's going to have to rely on his teammates, and in great respect, his teammates aren't as good as Rodri's. So him getting the best of Rodri or Gundogan isn't going to be just them isolated in a competitive spirit. It's going to be like, well, where are your passes? Well, I've got more, so I can obviously find more solutions. Right, we've only got 7 minutes now till kick-off, so I'd like to ask you a few predictions in just a second. But Nedum, kind of summarise what sort of game are you expecting today?
I think Fulham will try and start on the front foot. But then some of that spirit will probably get broken if City take the lead, because Fulham are in a place where they are comfortable, and whether people accept it or not, it can play into people's minds just a little bit, especially given the sort of narrative that surrounds City at the minute, where people feel like they are just the most impressive side, one of the best teams in the world. So I think Fulham will try and get on the front foot, get their crowd behind them. But if it's anything like, say, we saw Arsenal do to Fulham in a few weeks ago, I wouldn't say it's comfortable, because there's no such thing as a comfortable game as such. But if this is the clinical City that we saw from midweek, then it's a game which they control possession for long patches and score quite a few goals, I think. Right, give you a score prediction? I'm going to go for 3-1. And it'd be nice if Haaland scored a hat-trick again for obvious reasons.
Because he's triple captain on his FPL. Izzy, score prediction?
I was just going to say 3-1.
Okay.
And I was a bit annoyed that Nedum said it as well.
I'll take
Good
4-1.
minds
I'll
think
take
alike,
4-1.
don't
I'll
they?
take 4-1. Haaland 4.
We can
Haaland
have
4.
sames. Okay.
Go on.
Julian?
2-0.
To City?
Yeah. Are we discussing
Just
that?
checking.
The
Just checking.
alternative?
You worried me there.
No.
Great.
No,
thanks.
I don't think it'll be as close
It's
as what Nedum says. I think it'll be way more comfortable position, but because they'll be forced back in numbers, probably harder to break down than it was Arsenal.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Julian, Lescott, Izzy Christiansen, Nedum Onuoha. Thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us on Matchday Live. You'll get your full match commentary now with Alistair Mann and our former captain, Andy Morrison. We'll be back at half-time and full-time, where hopefully we'll be talking about City going top of the league. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Natalie. Welcome.